One of the major futurism dreams of the last century is the jetpack, or the flying car, or the hoverboard. A personal flying machine that allows you to strap in and take to the skies, going whenever and wherever you want. Freedom in its most simplistic form. However, we're a quarter of the way through the 21st century, and we still have no commercially available personal flying machines. The thing is, we have the technology to do this now. In fact, many companies, engineers and enthusiasts have taken to building their own jetpacks, hoverboards and flying cars in their workshops and garages, showcasing them on social media. Parts are cheap and easily available, and the information you need to build these vehicles are available online. What's more, many companies from around the world have received billions in investment funding to develop the next generation of flying vehicles. So, if we have the technology now, why is it taking so long, and are these vehicles even legal? In this video, we'll run through the most exciting innovations in this space, covering both amateur and company-based approaches to delivering the ultimate goal of people being able to own their own flying machines. First things first, what are these vehicles and what's being developed? Most of these vehicles sit in a class known as the eVTOL, which stands for Electric Vertical Takeoff and Landing, multi-rotored aircrafts that run on battery power or even hydrogen. For all intents and purposes, these are effectively scaled-up drones that can carry one or multiple people. In fact, it's most likely the explosion in drone technology and innovation around them that sprang a lot of these concepts to life. Whether that's the development of small and powerful motors used, or the obstacle avoidance and stabilizing technologies allowing for safe, easy and simple operation. FPV drones especially have had a hand in driving the development of the lower-end, more homemade eVTOL space. The DIY nature of FPVs and racing drones encourages the building and even programming of your own vehicles. Kits and tutorials are easily available online for enthusiasts looking to get into the sport. Access to new tools like 3D printers and cheap CNCs have also democratized advanced precision manufacturing in your shed. A few creators have taken to documenting their attempts online, developing anything from hoverboards to jetpacks to flying cars. One of the prominent people to come out of this space is Hunter Kowald, founder of Sky Surfer Aircraft Inc. Hunter and his team have effectively developed a rotor-powered flying skateboard, which he showcases via various social media channels to an audience of millions. Sky Surfer are now considered one of the more prominent brands in this ultralight segment, and have frequently been seen showcasing their technologies in front of celebrities and for movie premieres. Kowald, who has a mechanical engineering background, primarily designed the aircraft himself. The board has a claimed 20 minutes of flight time, a speed of 40 miles per hour, and a lift capacity of 500 pounds. Sky Surfer are in fact currently selling these on their website as kits and fully assembled. While a degree of mechanical engineering definitely helps, Hunter Kowald's story highlights how possible homemade flying machines can be. Other companies, like Omni Hoverboards, are also developing a similar product. Ascend Dynamics have come up with a slightly different take on the eVTOL with their jetpack-inspired Skypack, featuring a backpack-style configuration of 12 rotors to lift the pilot skywards. While working prototypes have been shown, the project appears to be inactive currently. There are also other companies developing in a similar class of ultra-small vehicles too, some of the most prominent being Volonaut Airbike and Gravity Industries Jetpack. Both of these concepts seem to take inspiration from well-known movies to deliver a unique flying experience. Reminiscent of the Iron Man suit, the Gravity Industries Jetpack features hand-mounted jets to propel the pilot in the direction of their choosing, simply and ingeniously by moving their arms. The Volonaut Airbike, on the other hand, has been attributed to a real-life Star Wars speeder. The Airbike, which visually resembles a motorbike with its wheels missing, boasts impressive top speeds of 200 km an hour or 124 miles per hour. Both opt for jet propulsion tech rather than rotors in this case, and have shown off working versions of the products, with Volonaut currently offering pre-orders on their site. While these appear to both be in advanced stages of development, they may not represent much of a commercially wide-reaching option for consumers. Plus, jet fuel isn't typically available at most garages. Above these single-person, ultra-light aircrafts, we're into flying car territory. Single or double-seater vehicles in a more conventional cockpit-oriented configuration. The Jetson 1 from Polish company Jetson is probably the most direct comparison to a scaled-up drone. With its 8 rotors on 4 arms protruding from a roll cage-looking one-seat cockpit, the aircraft can hit speeds of 102 miles per hour and a flight time of 20 minutes. The company has shown this $150,000 vehicle in operation all over their social media channels, and are targeting it towards things like first response for mountain search and rescue. While you could argue that Jetson 1 doesn't exactly fit the flying car criteria, there is no arguing about the concept from company Aleph, literally named the flying car. This ingenious design manages to contain all rotors and flying components within what looks like a regular car body. However, on close inspection, you can see that the body is made as a mesh, allowing vertical airflow through. This vehicle is actually able to drive down the road, and when the traffic gets too bad, or it's out of restricted airspace, can simply just take off and fly for the rest of the journey. It even has a gimbaled cockpit to keep up to 2 occupants level. In driving mode, the car has a maximum speed of around 25 miles per hour and a range of 200 miles. When switching to flight, Aleph are claiming 110 miles of range. However, top speed and flight time doesn't appear to currently be available. Beyond this, we're starting to get into the large multi-million-dollar commercial flight projects that are serious about developing full-blown sky taxis or personal flying vehicles. These are probably what most people think of when they hear the word eVTOL. While there are many companies targeting this segment, 2 of the most advanced companies are Joby Aviation and Archer. Archer's model Midnight is a fully battery-powered aircraft that can carry up to 4 people plus the pilot. It can do speeds of 150 miles per hour, target 20 to 50 mile flights with a flight time of about 30 minutes. The company is targeting urban commutes, saving time for people looking to get in and out of places like New York quickly. Joby Aviation, on the other hand, appear to be opting for a different tact with their aircrafts, having recently completed a 523-mile test flight. The aircraft achieves this due to running on a hydrogen fuel cell rather than solely on batteries. They have recently announced a plan to launch an air taxi service in the UAE. These vehicles represent a nimble, vertical takeoff solution for navigating large distances or crowded urban environments quickly. But hang on, hasn't a vehicle like this been in operation for the best part of the last 100 years? That's right, the major elephant in the room when it comes to these larger vehicles is the helicopter. A tried and tested vehicle that is already widely accessible and has the laws and legislation worked out, as well as featuring much more usable operating time of about 4 hours on a tank of fuel versus the 20 to 30 minutes of an eVTOL battery. This has led many people to question why the eVTOL is even being developed at all. Well, it turns out that this could be a much smarter option than it superficially appears. Let's start by looking at batteries. The problem with batteries is they are heavy. As a vehicle gets bigger and heavier or more energy intensive, the batteries need to scale with it. However, bigger batteries means more weight, which also requires more power to carry, causing an exponential decrease in efficiency. This is why many electric tractor-trailer trucks, trains and planes are opting for hydrogen fuel or fuel cells over batteries, which becomes far more efficient with scale. While many eVTOL companies are looking into hydrogen, a lot of companies like Archer with their Midnight model are still opting for batteries. But why? The answer may in fact link back to the idea of personal transport, accessibility of flight, and using other more developed technologies to piggyback off in the race to get the first commercial eVTOL in the air. The implementation of batteries may allow these vehicles to come to mass market much sooner, or be developed more cheaply as the infrastructure is more robust. A power socket is a lot easier to find or implement than a hydrogen fueling station. We have to remember that battery technology is being heavily invested in currently by the automotive industry. And aspects like efficiency, weight and power density are all being improved massively year on year. While most cars are currently hovering at the 200 to 250 mile or 320 to 400 kilometer range, battery manufacturer CATL already claims it has packs capable of 800 kilometers of range, which have higher power density and are able to sit within the same footprint as current battery packs. Sodium-based batteries are also starting to come to market, which are stated to hold a much higher capacity while reducing weight, are inherently safe and are much less susceptible to temperature change. While battery charge may not be long-lasting in current eVTOLs, future technology may make them much more viable. Having big batteries also aids advanced electronics too. For most companies, eVTOLs will have technology inherently built in. Consumer drones like the ones from DJI have many features targeted around both safety and ease of use. Basically, all standard DJI drones fly semi-autonomously at all times. They use multiple sensors, gyroscopes, and GPS data to keep the quadcopter level, stable, and in the same 3D geographic location, unless instructed otherwise. An FPV drone, however, requires full manual control at all times, with the pilot having to constantly adjust aspects like thrust to keep the drone where it needs to be, much more like a helicopter. DJI drones also have safety features like proximity sensors to mitigate crashing into objects or people, and an automatic return-to-home feature when the battery gets too low so it won't fall out of the sky, and geofencing so you're unable to fly into protected airspaces. For many companies, these types of safety features are being integrated into the core designs of eVTOLs, creating a lower barrier to entry and paving the way for people to one day own their own. Some may offer limited control like the DJI drones, basically point the vehicle in the right direction and choose the speed, while others may just be fully autonomous from the get-go. Unlike cars which have many obstacles to contend with on busy roads, eVTOLs would basically only have tall buildings, other flying vehicles, and possibly the odd bird to avoid, most of which could also be mapped and tracked in real time. Electrically driven rotors also offer an inherent safety advantage over the engine-driven ones of helicopters. eVTOLs can have multiple electric rotors, allowing for redundancy if one breaks. They are also simpler, having less parts to maintain, similar to the benefits of electric cars over traditional fuel ones. For example, traditional cars use a mechanical engine to directly translate, basically mini explosions, into rotational movement that is directly connected to the wheels. Fuel is squirted into the cylinders, mixed with air. A spark ignites the fuel, causing an increase in air pressure, pushing the piston up. The upward movement is translated to rotational movement, and that turns the wheels. Speed is regulated by how much fuel is used and gearing. A helicopter works off the same basic principles as this, turning air pressure created by an explosive force into rotational motion that drives the rotors. The main difference being that helicopters have turboshaft engines. These work more closely to jet turbofan engines, but use compressed gas to spin turbines, rather than to create thrust force. eVTOLs do not have this direct mechanical linkage. Each propeller is driven by its own motor, which operates off of electromagnets, just requiring an electrical current. This makes it far more simple to implement multiple rotors, which also has many advantages over a single large one. First and foremost, it's safer. If one propeller fails, the others can still operate. A helicopter would need an engine for each rotor to have the same redundancy. Another benefit of multiple rotors is noise. Having multiple smaller rotors means they can spin at slower speeds, creating much less air noise. The motors themselves are also quieter, not having to rely on fuel combustion to generate movement. Operating in urban environments may cause less disturbance to residents, meaning eVTOLs may be less restricted on where they can fly and when. The last major factor is fuel. Being electric, eVTOLs have the potential to be far less polluting than the kerosene-based jet fuel used by helicopters. However, real-world life cycle figures can often depend on how the electricity is generated and the practices involved with making the aircraft. The main benefit, however, is cost, with predictions of 30 to 50% savings in running costs. Combine that with the estimated price tag of an eVTOL being significantly cheaper to buy than the $2.5 to $30 million plus cost of conventional helicopters, means that these may be far more accessible. In terms of hydrogen options being used by companies like Joby, this may very well be a viable alternative to batteries for electric aircrafts. However, it too has downsides. Hydrogen, being an incredibly explosive and hard-to-contain fuel source, has its own problems with legislation and regulations that could add another level of complexity to development. Not to mention the complexity of sourcing, separation, and containment of hydrogen, which can range from 100% emission-free to one of the most polluting chemical processes going. As it stands, hydrogen is significantly more expensive than jet fuel, which may negate the cost savings over a traditional helicopter. However, costs are expected to drop by 2035. Another issue is that running off of a hydrogen fuel cell may provide a significant singular point of failure for the aircraft. If the fuel cell breaks, then there will be no power to send to the rotors. Hybrid systems are looking more likely at the moment, with onboard batteries available for backup. The real issue at the moment holding all of these vehicles back is the legalities and legislation needed to be put in place. These are a completely new and untested class of aircraft, so may not fully conform to the processes and practices currently in place for helicopters and planes, and also need to adhere to the rules set out not only from US governing bodies like the FAA, but international ones as well. As Joby Aviation states on their site, with more than 30,000 miles flown on full-scale prototype aircraft, our aircraft is designed to meet the uncompromising safety standards set by the FAA and other global aviation regulators. We're now engaged in a multi-year testing program with the FAA to certify our vehicle for commercial operations and have completed the first 3 of 5 stages. However, progress looks promising, and we will likely start seeing these vehicles in our skies in the coming years. The surprising revelation, however, is for the smaller vehicles like the Skysurfer, which appears to sit in the ultralight vehicle category, freeing them up from the rigorous testing of the larger, more commercial eVTOLs, especially if only used for recreational purposes. In fact, the company seems to have worked out all the legislation, offering up most of the information you need to legally get flying yourself, at least in the US. In theory, as long as you have the right training and follow the correct procedures, you can fly one of the smaller vehicles fully legally right now. A near future with flying vehicles of all types looks very much on the cards, but how soon, we don't know. What we can safely say for sure is that the idea of you personally owning a flying car to skip traffic on your daily commute might be some way off. However, jetpacks or hoverboards surprisingly could be something that start taking off soon. There's nothing stopping it really, other than supply from companies and educating the general public about the laws around these vehicles. Who knows? A future where we see flying skateboards whizzing over our heads could be sooner than you think.